Okay, guys, we're going to try this a different way and see if this works any better. So this is the problem set for lesson 29. My directions tell me divide, rewrite each expression as a division sentence with a fraction divisor, and fill in the blanks. The first one is done for you, so that means there is my example. So they had 2 divided by 1/10. So they rewrote it as a fraction. So that means I need to do that with mine. So I would have 5 divided by 1/10 equals some number. So how many tenths are in one whole? Well, there are 10 tenths in one whole. So we learned that if I took 1/10 and added it together, that would give me 50, or 5 times 10. So then my answer up here would be 50. Coming over here, it's again a little bit of a review. Sorry, I'm holding the camera this time so you can get it up and down. And I get 8 divided by 1/10 equals, well, I already know the answer is 80. Whoa, sorry. I already know the answer is 80 because I know that there are 10 tenths in one whole. And if I have those 10 and I multiply them by 8, then I'm going to get 80 wholes. Coming down here to C. Again, I'm going to rewrite it, 5 and 2/10 divided by 1/10 equals some number. So here I start with how many tenths are in 5 wholes. So up here I have 1 whole, but now I have 5 wholes. So I actually found that answer right here. So I'm going to copy that down. And then how many tenths are in 2/10? Well, that's kind of obvious. There are 2 tenths in 2/10, right? Am I right? So how many tenths are there altogether in 5.2? So we do what we did on our last sheet, and it's 50 plus 2, and so that gives me 52 tenths. So my answer up here is 52. Coming over to D, there are blank tenths in 8 wholes. Well, look right up there. I've got that answer already. There are 80 tenths in one whole. How many tenths are in 7/10? Well, there's 7 tenths in 7/10, right? So when I add those two together, I would get 87 tenths in 8.7. Which if you think back to a lot of the fluency activities that we've been doing this year where we've been renaming things, I would say, how many tenths is this? And you all would tell me 87. So this is just really synthesizing a lot of things that we already know how to do and just putting them in to one problem. 87. All right, so let's come down here because now we're looking at hundredths. And I like that they give me just a whole number first. I don't have a decimal. So how many hundredths are in one whole? Well, again, 100 1/100ths equals 1, right? So if I had 5 wholes, then I would have 500. But I'm not done because I still need to rewrite my equation, and then I can answer that as 500. See, this isn't so bad. Here I have 8 divided by 1/100. So again, how many hundredths are in one whole? 100. So how many hundredths would be in 8 wholes? Well, 800. Because this is the same thing as 8 divided by 1/100. And I could do my shortcut. 8 times 100 would give me 100. Now we're going to come down here, and they've added that decimal, 5.2. So how many hundredths are in 5 holes? Well, I come back up here. I've already found out that there are 500 hundredths in 5 holes. How many hundredths are in 2 tenths? I'm going to go back to this page here where I have my hundreds grid. And if I colored in 2 tenths, 2 rows of 10 there, how many blocks have I actually colored in? Think about it. 2 rows of 10. So 10, 20. I've actually colored in 20 of the 100 blocks. So that would mean that when I add those two together, there are 520 hundredths in 5.2. So I can rewrite that. 5.2 divided by 1/100th equals 520. Okay. And finally, let's come over here to H. I have 8.7 divided by 100th. So let me rewrite that. Eeks. Sorry. There we go. So how many hundredths are in 8 holes? Well, I come back up here and it tells me there are 800. Now, if I'm on my hundredths grid and this time I color in 7 rows of 10, I have colored in 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. So I can write that down there. So that means when I add those two together, I get 870. Okay, sorry this is so shaky. I'm trying this a different way today. All right, so this just tells me to divide. So I know I don't have to do this, but I can rewrite this. 60 divided by 1/10, that's going to be 60. 18 divided by 1/10 is going to be 180, because that is 18 divided by 1/10. 6 divided by 100th, guess what that's going to equal? 600. Here I have 1.7, which is the same thing, divided by 1/10. Remember, there would be 10 tenths in 1 hole plus the 7 tenths that are left over. That equals 17 tenths, or 17. So here, 31 divided by, and multiply that. There's 2 zeros here, so I add 2 zeros here, 3,100. Here I have 11 divided by 1/100th. Again, I keep my first numbers the same. I can add my zeros. 125 divided by 1/10 equals 250. Now we're back to a decimal. 3 74 hundredths divided by 1/100th. Whoa, sorry. So I know that there are 3 hundredths here in the hole. I know there's going to be 70 tenths that I would color in. If I colored in 7 squares, that's going to give me 70 boxes on my hundredths chart. and 4 hundredths. So that gives me altogether 374. Here I have 12.5 divided by 1 hundredth. Again, I'm going to have 12 hundredths plus 50 hundredths, because I would color in 5 tenths on my hundredths chart, and that would give me 1,250. Here's a good place for you to pause it and see if you notice any kind of patterns between the quotients here and the dividend. All right, then I'm going to come down to my word problems. I know that these always get us, but let's go ahead and look at it. Young bought $4.60 worth of bubble gum. Each piece of gum cost 10 cents or 0.1, right? How many pieces of bubble gum did Young buy? So I have that $4.60, and I'm going to divide that by, how'd they write that? So if I wanted to, couldn't I say that that's the same thing as this? Right? 460, that is 1/10. Now, I can say, well, here's 4 wholes. So that means there would be 40 tenths plus a 6 in the 10th place. That would give me 46. So does that make sense with my answer? How many pieces of bubble gum did Young buy? Young bought 46 pieces. There's my answer. All right, number 4. Cheryl solved a problem. 84 divided by 100th equals 8,400. Jane said, your answer is wrong, because when you divide, the quotient is always smaller than the whole amount you start with. For example, 6 divided by 2 equals 3, and 100 divided by 4 equals 25. Who is correct? Explain your thinking. Well, hopefully you can look at that right away and say, Cheryl is correct. Now, we all have different thinking here, and so that would be okay. But your answer should be something along the lines of, when you divide a whole number by a fraction, you are dividing it into smaller pieces so there are more. Okay? And finally, the U.S. Mint sells 2 ounces of American Eagle gold coins to a collector. Each coin weighs 1/10 of an ounce. How many gold coins were sold to the collector? So here I have 2 wholes, and I'm dividing that by 1/10 because that's how much each coin weighs. And that's exactly what we've been doing. So I can say each coin weighs 20 ounces. Or 20, I'm sorry, no, well, goodness, it's a good thing I went back and read that. He sold 20 coins. Okay, well, I hope this helps you understand a little bit more. When we go in tomorrow, we will be working on the homework set and the exit ticket. So be prepared with any questions. Good work, guys.